And this is the CBC Morning Report. Looking at our top story this morning, it appears some visitors to the island are still turning up with the wrong COVID-19 test on arrival at the Grantley Adams International Airport. And CBC understands the results are not being accepted by officials here on the ground. We're also learning that they're arriving with those results, either with results of a rapid antigen test or from a self-test that they would have received from a popular pharmacy in their jurisdiction. We're also looking at some of these situations, and we're hearing that visitors are unclear about the type of test that they are supposed to bring here, which is the PCR test. It means they would have to pay once they're here on the island to get a test done, and it's posing some issues as unexpected quarantine and accommodation expenses. But why are some of these tests not accepted? To answer this and other questions, we have Dr. Hilary Moore back with us. She's an emergency room physician and Mornin Barbados contributor. Good morning, Dr. Moore. Good to have you back on.
Good morning. Hey, nice to be back.
Yeah, so why is it important that officials here be firm in saying that we are only accepting the PCR test on arrival?
Okay, and it's not only just a PCR test, but a PCR test from a reputable company. The thing about it is, okay, even in taking the sample, you have to be very careful. For anyone that has had a PCR test done, everyone will tell you it's uncomfortable because you have to go fairly far back in the nose to take the sample. That means that you're able to get a good set of material from inside the nose that will be positive for the virus if you do have it. If, for example, you're taking the sample too far to the front of the nose, which is going to be more comfortable, you're not going to get a sample. It means that when you send it to the lab, you're going to get a false negative because you may still have the virus, just that the sample isn't properly. Also, when it comes to transporting the sample, so imagine you're doing it at home. I'm not going to cause myself a lot of pain, so I'm not going to go as far back as maybe the nurse or the doctor would. Also, I have to transport it to the lab in a specific way. If I transport it and it gets warm, if I transport it and it takes too long, if I transport it and it's not in the correct environment, you're actually going to, if you are positive, you're going to destroy the sample. It means that when the lab runs it, you're going to again end up with a false negative if you do have the virus. The thing about the antigen test, so that's PCR, the thing about the antigen test is that there is a risk. There's a higher risk of getting false negative results, which is why the PCR test from a reputable company being taken by some person that is really trained and knows exactly what they're doing and is transported to the lab in the right way is the only way that we can be assured, yes, this person who comes in with a negative PCR test is truly negative. I understand that there are some other countries that may be taking the antigen test or the home PCR test, and you know what? If they are able to take that risk, if they are economically and financially able to deal with the complications or the fallout, if a positive test comes in and mixes in society and then you get another outbreak, then that is fine by them. But we know for a fact here in Barbados, we cannot afford that, which is why it's so important that we get a true negative from a reliable company. We can't just say, okay, you came with a negative PCR, it doesn't matter how you took it, and that's okay, because you can end up with false negatives. And
Right.
Again, I don't know about you, but I'm tired of lockdown.
There are certain buffers as well that the Ministry of Health, the Tourism Ministry, and government as a whole have put in place to ensure that we protect our borders. We are still testing those who would have been fully vaccinated as well, even though the quarantine time for those visitors would have been shortened significantly once they test negative. Another thing that we also see going on in overseas jurisdictions, in some of them, fully vaccinated people are allowed not to wear their masks in public. Talk about these two steps, and should we go that route, or is it still too early?
Okay, so second question first. It's too early to go without the mask and all these different things. Remember, there's still a lot of different variants out there. We are getting the vaccine that is to the initial COVID-19 virus, and guess what? We're going to always need the vaccine to the initial virus and its initial few strains. We then are going to need boosters to any newer strains that may exist. And the reality is that the quicker we can vaccinate, the less it will spread, and therefore the less strains will develop. But for right now, we do know that there are strains that are not being covered by any of the vaccines, and therefore I think it's a little too early to actually say, okay, let's go without masks. Let's not do that just yet. When it comes to people who are fully vaccinated and enter the island, I personally may not necessarily agree with them having a shorter quarantine because we do know that we have strains around that the vaccine may not necessarily cover, regardless of which vaccine you get. But I do understand that it still, once you're vaccinated, reduces your risk of contracting the virus. It reduces your risk of spreading it further. So I understand economically, Barbados is an island that depends on tourism. We are trying to make a little leeway for those that are fully vaccinated because we do need to encourage tourism for our financial benefit and future. So even though I personally may not necessarily agree with it 100%, I do understand why they're going that route for fully vaccinated people that can show definitive proof that they've been vaccinated from a reputable station. Because again, what is happening is that people are going to try finding methods of, circumventing that system. We are hearing already about false vaccination certificates being issued, or people, I'm not saying issued, but people getting hold of false vaccination certificates. So we also have to be a bit wary of that also.
You mentioned something there about the booster shot. For fully vaccinated people, they probably were thinking that's the end, no more vaccines for me. Will fully vaccinated people eventually have to get a booster shot, as we're hearing in some sections of the media?
Yes, it appears that way. I mean, they've not come out officially and said it, but again, with the increasing amount of strains, it sounds like definitely you're going to have to get a booster shot at some point in time for those other strains. But it does not mean that you don't get the initial vaccine, because the initial COVID virus, as well as the initial strains, are still out there. They're not disappearing. They're not going anywhere. So you are going to need the same vaccines that we're getting. But yes, I do believe that you're going to need to get a booster shot at some point in time for these new strains.
Dr. Moore, always good hearing from you. There is some breaking news as well about Pfizer and Moderna that we'll delve into later this week as well. Always a pleasure. You stay safe until next time. Keep up the good work.
You stay safe too. Bye.
Thank you very much, Dr. Moore. We'll take a break here and come back with some other local, regional, and international COVID-19 updates. Barbadians may soon have access to a more internationally recognized vaccination certificate. This was revealed by the co-coordinator of the National Vaccination Program, Dr. Elizabeth Ferdinand, on Tuesday's edition of COVID Queries. Here's what she had to say.
We are in the process of having a more internationally acclaimed certificate, which we're currently working on, and Cabinet will decide the final format for it. I see recently that the EU has put out an international certificate as well. So whether we join them or we do our own international certificate will be decided by Cabinet. And when that is done, then you will get your certificate again through the email.
Meanwhile, Dr. Ferdinand says for fully vaccinated people, the blue vaccination cards, once completed, will stand in as the certificate. Electronic copies of the certificate are forwarded via email. She says if you haven't received one of those electronic certificates after getting that second dose, contact the immunization unit.
We have been issuing certificates through the email. Those should be done automatically from our end of it. But for many cases, we are finding that the emails have been incorrectly inputted into the system. And so they might be going out, but not getting through. In some cases, they're going to the junk mail. So if you haven't received your certificate, check your junk. If not, then you can call our headquarters and ask for a certificate.
Barbados has reached the 4,000 mark in the number of positive cases of COVID-19 recorded. This after 2 new cases, both males, were recorded among the 429 tests conducted on Monday. There are currently 46 people in isolation, and the virus has claimed 47 lives. Under the National Vaccination Program, meanwhile, for COVID-19, 76,413 people have been immunized. Of these, 55,586 people have been fully vaccinated during the second phase of the program. Schools in St. Kitts and Nevis have been closed for 2 weeks as increased cases of COVID-19 were reported on Monday. There were 6 new positives, bringing the total number of confirmed cases there to 60, with 15 classified as active. The Ministries of Education and Health, in a joint statement, say they have made a proactive decision to close all schools until Tuesday there, June 8th, in an effort to contain the spread of COVID-19. Over 1,000 people were vaccinated as Guyana held its first drive-through vaccination event at the National Stadium over the weekend. We hear more in this report.
To further boost the vaccination drive, health authorities decided to host the first ever drive-through vaccination drive at the National Stadium at Providence, East Coast, Demerara on Saturday. The event saw scores of adults being administered the vaccine in their vehicles and later being directed to an area where they were observed by medical staff to wait the mandatory 15 minutes to determine if they experienced any immediate adverse reactions to the jabs. The recipients included residents from the East Bank Corridor, Region 3 and other parts of the country. At the close of the 12-hour exercise, more than 1,000 persons had accessed first and second doses of the vaccines. This was disclosed on Monday by Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, during his daily COVID-19 update.
We were able to do 931 first doses and 140 second doses. So I think it was one of those sites where we had the highest yield of people coming in and getting vaccinated.
The minister added that although it was a drive-through event, those on foot were also accommodated and given the shots. He divulged that because of the laudable response, the event will be repeated on Wednesday at the same location.
Starting from 9 in the morning and we'll go until 5. We wouldn't go till 9 like the last time, but until 5. So hopefully we can encourage people to come out and get their vaccines.
Let's hear from Pearson now about what's happening on today's edition of Morning Barbados. Over to you, Pearson.
Thank you, Shane. Well, when you folks who join us this morning for Morning Barbados, we will have an update on St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We've not taken our eyes off of what's happening there. The director of the Agency for Public Information will be joining us to bring us up to date. Also today, as you recall, yesterday we met the president of the Ghana Association of Barbados. She asked the question, what's our culture? We asked it back, what's your culture? So today she's going to share with us her culture from Ghana. And by the end of the show today, we'll share with you 12 keys to a strong finish, life lessons for facing your everyday challenges. All that and a whole lot more when you join me here on Morning Barbados. Back to you, Shane.
Yes, we'll take a break here, but when we come back, we'll talk about the latest with CXCs, and we'll hear who is chiding the organization for its response in the region. Prime Minister Mia Amor Motley says Barbados is looking forward to the virtual version of the Africa Union CARICOM summit. The summit comes off next month after the COVID-19 pandemic curtailed plans to hold it last year. In her message for Africa Day, the Prime Minister says Barbados is committed to cementing these ties in the most tangible way. She says she feels extremely confident in asserting that the future of the Africa-Caribbean relations has never been brighter and more promising. Prime Minister Motley believes that more than ever, Africa and the Caribbean are interconnected as they forge ahead in joint efforts to build out the new Organization of Africa, Caribbean and Pacific States, the OACPS. She says, in addition, she looks forward to the implementation of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. It will be the world's largest free trade area with the potential to transform development in all of its facets across the entire African continent, making it an even stronger regional powerhouse. Now, UNICEF has issued a statement on the CSEC and CAPE examinations for 2021, urging the Caribbean Examinations Council to take action to ensure students are not further disadvantaged. We have some reaction from the major stakeholders.
Ever since the CXC issue reached a fever pitch last September, when students, teachers and parents took to the streets around the region, protesting what they claimed to be irregular results, there have been suggestions and comments coming from across the Caribbean. And yesterday, one of the most recognizable global organizations lent its voice to the debacle. UNICEF works in more than 190 countries and territories to reach the most disadvantaged children with the goal to help fulfill the rights of every child. In their statement dated May 24th, UNICEF expressed concern over CXC's decision to go ahead with the upcoming CSEC and CAPE exams as currently designed. Barbadian student advocate Khalil Koftawala told us the statement evoked a number of emotions.
On the one hand, I am very pleased that to see an international body take a reasonable, responsible stance in relation to the safety and security, both academic and physical, of our region's children, but at the same time deeply saddened that we have reached the stage where our region has to be rebuked by an international body. And it is a moment, therefore, for serious pause for us as a region to examine exactly how we got here, and more fundamentally, how must we ensure that we don't return to this place.
In the statement, UNICEF called for adjustments to be made to the content and administration of the exams, in line with recommendations provided by the Caribbean Union of Teachers. President of the Barbados Secondary Teachers Union, Marianne Redmond, was involved in creating those recommendations.
These recommendations and the rationale for them have been made to CXC in meetings, in correspondence, in press conferences. And even though there has been an attempt at some modification by CXC, those modifications have been made in a manner still as not to cause too much disruption to CXC's operation. And they've not been done with enough consideration of the ongoing realities of Caribbean students and teachers in an ongoing pandemic.
Meanwhile, a passionate spokesperson for the group of concerned parents, Paula Ann Moore, said it's an international embarrassment that UNICEF has had to intervene.
At the 11th hour, days before exam starts, students and teachers are on an emotional roller coaster of uncertainty. The cosmetic changes made by CXC are merely laughable PR exercises and contrast profoundly with the changes that countries worldwide made and publicly communicated months ago in response to the pandemic crisis and with the stated focus, the care and concern of innocent children.
Among other suggestions, UNICEF has called for officials to expand and intensify the provision of mental health and psychosocial support for children as they prepare for the exams.
That's our Shane Jones reporting. Meanwhile, CXC is holding a media briefing about the administration of this year's regional examinations at 1 this afternoon. It will be hosted by Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, he's the chairman of CXC, and Dr. Wayne Wesley, the registrar and CEO. Promoting positive choices while promoting and protecting the health and well-being of students and teachers. That is the aim of a recent collaboration between the Power of Choice campaign and local manufacturer McBride Ben Caribbean Limited. They presented branded face masks and travel-sized beep disinfecting sprays to 5 primary and secondary schools. Sales and marketing manager Shari Green said the company was pleased to assist the nation's schools and a number of government ministries in fighting COVID-19.
Brain as a local manufacturer has grown. The pandemic has created an opportunity for us to launch a number of new products, and the most recent one is this travel-sized version of our disinfectant spray, which today we are providing free of cost to the teaching and non-teaching staff of these 5 schools in partnership with the Power of Choice: Queen's College, Darrell Jordan Secondary, Grisette's Primary, St. Bartholomew's Primary, and St. Leonard's Boys. This is in addition to a donation made recently to the Ministry of Education, and we have some other ministries such as the Ministry of Health and Home Affairs, which are earmarked to benefit.
While expressing gratitude for the donation, the principal of St. Bartholomew, Hyacinth Harris, says the donation will go a long way towards nurturing the academic and social development of students right across Barbados.
When we see partnerships such as these, partnerships between corporate entities and schools, we ought to applaud it, because it says to us that we are not walking this road alone. And this morning, I am glad that we have this combination of the spiritual and the corporate investing in the lives of our students. Our students do not only develop as academics, there is also that social element and that spiritual element, and we need to pay attention to these.
Police in St. Lucia are investigating a second double homicide within a 24-hour period. The latest involved 2 men, 19 and 28, from the East Coast village of Dennery. Investigators say several gunmen fired on the 2 men who died at the scene. Residents in the area reported hearing a volley of gunshots on Monday night. The shootings followed Sunday night's double murders in the southern village of Jacmel in a drive-by shooting. 1 other person had been injured in those incidents. Police have given no motives for the 4 killings. House prices in the U.S. are soaring, leaving many low and middle income families unable to afford a shrinking supply of homes. Fewer are being built during the pandemic due to a shortage of building materials.
Despite a deadly pandemic, South Florida is booming. In Miami, businesses and the wealthy are relocating in droves, attracted by lower taxes and sunnier weather. That means a surging housing market. The median price for a single-family home now well over $400,000. Groups working to find affordable housing are having an increasingly difficult time. First-time buyers like Olmise Delesieux are priced out of the market.
Not being able to do it now, it is like when I will be able to do it. This is the question, because I don't know if the prices are going down, and we still are in the middle of the pandemic.
We're not in an environment where we have a whole lot of public land that can be donated to create affordable housing.
It's a story Charles Dabney knows all too well. The land trust he works for focuses on building affordable homes in communities like Miami's Little Haiti. But with costs rising, vital projects are stalled.
In sports, left-arm pacer, left-arm fast bowler, Pakistani fast bowler Mohammad Amir will be joining the Barbados Tridents in this summer's Heroes CPL Caribbean Premier League in St. Kitts. With 220 T20 wickets to his name, the 59 of them coming in international matches, Amir has a huge amount of experience and a track record of success across the globe. Shoaib Malik returns to the Guyana Amazon Warriors, while Sandeep Lachman joins the Trinbago Knight Riders for the 2021 season. He's played at the Hero CPL for the last 3 seasons, impressing the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots, Barbados Tridents, and Jamaica Tallawahs. The complete squads for the Hero CPL 2021 will be revealed on the draft show on Friday, on the 28th of May. And that's sports. Time now for a look at the weather. It's partly cloudy and windy on the outside. The temperature is 27 degrees Celsius. The apparent temperature 2 degrees higher at 29 degrees Celsius. The relative humidity 65%. That means there has been some drying out of the atmosphere. The barometric pressure this morning 10-15 millibars, and those winds have picked up a bit, coming out of the east at 32 kilometers per hour. We'll get a low tide at 19 minutes to 10 this morning. The high tide will come our way at 16 minutes after 4 in the afternoon. Those seas are calm to moderate in open water. Swells are around the 2-meter mark and expected to increase. Today we'll get a mix of sunshine and clouds here in Barbados with a few brief isolated light showers. And tonight it will be a mix of clear skies and clouds with periods of brief isolated light showers. Today in the Lesser Antilles, the picture looks like this. Fair to occasionally cloudy with a few brief scattered light showers. And it will be generally cloudy tonight there with a few brief scattered light showers. Double digits all today in London. The minimum 10 degrees Celsius and you're getting up to 20 degrees Celsius. In Frankfurt, they're barely breaking the single digit mark. The minimum temperature there will be 8 degrees Celsius. In Miami, the sun is out, partly cloudy there, up to 29 degrees Celsius. Montreal getting into the 20s as well, along with New York and Toronto. Boston, New York and Toronto, though, they're getting some showers, but at least all double digits in Boston there. Minimum temperature 12 today will be as cool as that, and getting up to 19 degrees Celsius. That's still pretty cool. And that's it for this edition of the Morning Report. I'm Shane Seeley. Morning Barbados starts now.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning, Barbados, good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, 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 morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, morning Barbados, good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, morning Barbados, good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up.
morning, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday the 26th of May, 2021, and welcome to Morning Barbados. I am Pearson Bowen. Good to have you company. For those of you joining us on our Facebook stream at CBC Barbados, wonderful seeing you. And if you're watching us too via our YouTube channel, Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation, thank you for joining us there as well. Now, today you'll get to meet the author of Gracie and the Green Monkey. And just how titillating is that story she'll share with us. We'll also be taking a very serious look at kidney stones, what causes them, what's the treatment for them. And, you know, you really should not miss that. That's very, very solid information. And we'll continue our look into job hunting and your self-confidence. As the CEO and founder of Work Consultancy Inc. joins us, Brittany Seeley will be back to share more about that. But let's get started this morning by looking back into St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We're happy to be joined today by my friend, the Director of the Agency for Public Information, Jennifer Richardson. Jennifer, good morning to you.
Good morning, Pearson. Good morning, Barbados.
How are you doing?
Good to be back with you.
Thank you. How are you doing and what's the latest?
I am well, thank you. The latest news here is that, well, Soufriere has quieted down significantly. We are still seeing a bit of steaming from it, and of course, there's some very low emissions of gases still, but it has quieted down enough to not be posing a threat right now. So persons are being asked to return to their homes. Those persons in shelters, private and public, are being asked to return to their homes. As a matter of fact, they were given a deadline of Tuesday the 25th to return. Granted that not everybody is being asked to return at this time, because above the dry river, which is the red zone, they can't return right now. Too much structural damage to homes, a lot of ash everywhere. Some areas look like huge riverbed, so they cannot return right now, so they have to remain in shelters. But persons below the Rabaka Dry River up to Georgetown, they are being asked to return. On the leeward side of the country, those at Chateaubriand and Fitzhughes, those are not to return. But everybody else above Chateaubriand can return. So Chateaubriand, Fitzhughes, Richmond, they cannot return. Granted, a lot of persons, they have not been rushing to return because their homes are still to be cleaned. They have been asked to return and get their homes cleaned and move with their families back to their homes that are habitable. But some persons are very reluctant to move. Granted, they are being taken care of well at the shelters. They are wondering about the amount of ash still on the roads, their homes, what conditions they're in. But they're being asked to go and make assessments. And the government also has assessors going around looking at these homes to see which ones are habitable, how damaged are they, what kind of help can we give them? You know, is it lumber, galvanized? Do they need to stay out longer? But certainly, where the threat for the volcano is concerned, the scientists have advised that it is safe enough for those below the dry river and those above Chateaubriand to return to their homes. So that is what is happening right now.
To at least inspect their property to see its readiness for return. Now, I recently saw on your social media a trip back to Fancy. You tried to go from Oya to Fancy. And then we were just watching a video on the screen. Could you tell us what that was? What was it like having to traverse and get back into those far-flung areas?
I'm telling you, Pearson, it was difficult. It was sobering, because where we were in Kingston monitoring what was happening, you really couldn't see the extent of what was taking place. So going up from the time you get into Georgetown and you go across, try to go across the dry river, the amount of ash, the transformation of the landscape, there's some areas you couldn't recognize. The video you're looking at right now, that is the river that divides Fancy from Oya. And literally we had to squeeze through a narrow path. If you missed the vehicle, you were going over that precipice where you see the waters flowing there. And when we almost got across, it was loose soil to go up on. So you had some vehicles getting back. but we had some brave souls, and we made it across into Fancy. The roads going up all the way from Rabuka to Fancy, you will not, if you didn't know it before, you will not imagine that we had asphalt under there. It was all ash, and we now had hills and valleys where none existed before. So going up was really rugged. The terrain was bad. When you look at the trees, the farms, everything devastated. If you're not strong enough, you would cry for that place the way it looked. It was really horrible. We saw homes where the entire roof just caved in. Some of them, the sides are broken down. There are homes where ash and sand just filled every room. People just cannot go back there to live. So that section above the dry river, it's really bad. They can't go back.
We've heard a lot of the resilience of the spirit of the Vincentian. And so to have to see that, you know, for oneself, how people been responding, what kinds of agencies have come to fore to assist them manage that emotional trauma?
Well, a lot of persons have not gone back to even look at the homes. Some have. I know I have a particular family staying with me, and they're like, we're not going to see the farm because I don't think we could deal with everything from what they've heard from others who have gone back to their farm is devastating. And you have the Ministry of Social Mobilization along with UNICEF. They are trying to offer psychosocial support to persons in the shelters who have to go back and face these devastation, and they have been doing that. They have been getting some good results. Granted, you have some persons also, person who did not leave the red zone. We encountered a few persons in Sandy Bay, in Owea, and one person up in Fancy. They did not leave, but they will tell you that it was a horror story. They literally lived through a horror story. Some of them would have lived through 1979 and thought it was going to be more of the same, but they were really surprised at the viciousness or the violence of the volcano. It was terrible. So those who are heading back, some of them are cleaning their places. Some of them just can't clean because what are they going to clean? There is really no home. You know, there is no house. It's too much ash. The clinics in some areas can't be reopened, especially in the red zone. And that is another reason why they can't go back, because there is no health facility that is available for them to go to. So the Ministry of Health right now is on a crusade to get all the health facilities cleaned from below the red zone, so that persons who go at least up to Georgetown can access health facilities. So they are working. Those who are returning are being given food packages by the Ministry of Social Mobilization to take with them. They've been equipped with cleaning supplies, buckets, and the Red Cross is also offering some kits that include brooms and mops. And the World Food Program is also offering some cash to families who have been displaced. So they're getting some assistance, and hopefully that is enough to tie them over. When the World Food Program cash assistance is exhausted, the government has said that they would also chip in with some cash assistance to keep these families going. One of the constituents that we have really overlooked, well, not the government so much, but people have been overlooking, are those persons in what we call the green zone. Granted, when Soufriere was erupting, the entire St. Vincent became a red zone. I live in what we call the green zone, and we were ash covered, everything covered in ash. And so there are persons in the green zone who have also been affected by the volcano, the eruption of the volcano, and they have not been getting the sort of attention that the folks in the red zone have been getting. So that is another area that we would have to look into. Yes, the government has said that they will give, especially the farmers in the green zone, some monetary assistance, but that is a one-time payoff, and hopefully they can use that to re-energize their farms and get going again. Yeah.
Well, our real hope really is, you know, as some semblance of normalcy is beginning to return, that people are still very careful because it has not yet died down. All right, we're going to take a break right here. When we come back, we'll give you a chance to win. I know you're thinking, what? Yep, one chance to win with Beep is coming up after this break.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Time for us to keep it clean with Beep, and keeping it clean, chance to win right now. You get a chance to call me on 228-52 or 228-5563. Call right now. Call right 8-5562 or 228-5563. Beep for a happy family. I have a question for you. That question, actually answer this and you're winner of this wonderful looking gift basket. Let's just give them a sense of what they're going to win this morning if we can. Can we do so? All right, we'll show you. Yeah, there it is. This is what you're going to win this morning. It contains a lot of products from Beep, thanks to Matt Brides. And certainly we want to give you a chance to win that right now by calling and tell me 4 Beep products. Give me the names of 4 Beep products. 228-5562 or 63. Hi there, good morning.
Morning.
Hi,
Good morning.
give me the names of 4 Beep products.
Beep products is Beep, the Beep disinfectant and the Beep dishwashing liquid. Let's see, them is 2, right?
Don't ask me questions. I need some more.
But 2.
You ready to give up?
The Beep, this Beep disinfectant in different colors. That goes 1.
That's 1.
Oh.
That counts as 1.
I don't think I.
Tick tock. You can't handle any more. All right.
No,
let's move on.
No.
Let's move on to another call then. There'll be other opportunities for you to win. Let's move on to another call. Name for me 4 Beep products. 4 Beep products. 228-5562 or 228-5563. We have another one. Good morning to you. Hello.
Good morning.
Good. Name for me 4 Beep products.
Beep disinfectant, Beep hand sanitizer, Beep
all of you get stuck at 2.
dishwashing liquid, and
go ahead.
Beep sprays.
All right, now let's start again. So you told me Beep sanitizer, hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The Beep disinfectant.
Go ahead.
The Beep sprays.
What spray?
Air fresheners.
Keep going.
And the last one.
You called 3. I need 4. One more.
I said dishwashing liquid already.
I'm listening to you. One more.
Dishwasher liquid.
So you give up?
No,
You're giving
I
up,
don't
right?
give up.
You better give up. You better give up. Let me hear you. You better don't tie up yourself here. Do not tie up yourself. You give up?
No.
Do you give up? You don't give up. I'd suggest that you give up.
Bug spray.
Let me tell you why you should give up. You should give up because you're right.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. You're correct in saying hand sanitizers, disinfectant spray, air fresheners, and dishwashing liquid. Those are just 4 of those Beep products. What's your first name?
Coraline.
Ah, what a beautiful name, Coraline. Thank you so much for calling. Coraline, you stay on the phone because you've won that wonderful gift basket. It is all yours. It contains all Beep products. So stay right there and someone will take some information from you. Okay, Coraline?
Thank you.
A good old-fashioned name. Thank you for calling, all right? Coraline, I love it. Alrighty then, 30 minutes now to go to the hour of 7 o'clock right here on Morning Barbados. Let's get on with this, thanks to Beep, of course. Beep, keeping it clean for a healthy, happy home.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Right, so now, let's find out what is the culture of Ghana. As once again, she's so fun, really, we had to have her back. Faith Ampia, who is the president of the Ghana Association of Barbados. Good morning to you again, Faith.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming back to us.
How are you?
I'm great.
Thank you for having me.
I look at you all dressed again this morning. Is this a traditional dress in Ghana?
Yes, it is. It is a traditional dress.
Does it have any symbolic meaning?
Not really. Now it's one of those trends that is going on in Ghana, so you put it on and then it was launched for the homecoming. Let me put it that way, the year of return for Ghana. So everybody has it.
Would it have been? Is a pattern created by Ghanian or is this just fabric?
No, the pattern is created by the Ghanaian. You know, back home in Ghana, you have people who create patterns for the industries, that is the cloth industries, to print them out. And unfortunately, you have China and other Vietnam and other people stealing those patterns. So,
they
but
want to be like
at the end of the day, the quality of the fabric determines where it is coming from.
That is so beautiful. Now, for those of us who don't quite know, quick thing. How large is the population of Ghana, roughly? Do you know?
Ghana is about 30 million. It has about 30 million people.
30 million people. And just how large is it?
30,
you know,
yes.
And we're just 166 square miles. How large is Ghana?
Exactly. Whoa, that would be off the spot. Maybe another time I would be able to tell you. Ghana is quite big.
It is very big, indeed.
Yeah.
But you know, there's so much. Yesterday you tempted me because you said you don't yet know the culture of Barbados. And that we will share with you as time goes by. But I wanted to know what's the culture of Ghana. So what are you going to share with me today? What can you share with us to help us understand better what is the culture of Ghana?
Okay. As you're well aware of, culture is a way of people live. So I'm believing that yes, Barbados or the Barbadian has a culture, yes. But with time, I believe that it has changed and modified to suit how the people are now. So yes, you may have crop over like we have in Ghana. In Ghana, we have cultures that commemorate farming seasons or commemorate the end of farming seasons too. And I believe that yes, Barbados has it, but at the end of the day, it has changed or metamorphosed into something different. It wouldn't have all those attachments we have in Ghana. Maybe here it will be fun, but back home in Ghana, you have the pouring of libation, you know, people, the kings and all that, doing a whole lot of things to make it more special. Like back home in Ghana, if you have the yam festival before the farmers bring out the yam, you would realize that they would be asked not to eat yam for a whole 3 months.
Really?
And if you eat the yam without that festival, you are arrested by the community, sanctioned. Sometimes you pay a lot of fine to even do that. We have the belief that if you do not allow those traditions, the pouring of libation, purification, and other things to be done to the gods before you eat them, you either die, you fall sick, and those things are transcend to generations. So nobody would want to do that. Unlike maybe here, it would be fun thing, you know. I have friends here in Barbados who have told me about crop over and how they thrill the whole of Barbados to really have fun. Yes, in
Yes.
Ghana we do have fun, but it has those significant attachments to them. So yes,
Okay.
I believe that I know COVID has done a lot of harm. I'm still looking forward to having the crop over here in Barbados.
You get to
Yeah.
enjoy the music
That
for
that
sure, if nothing
notwithstanding,
else.
you would realize that back home in Ghana we have the naming ceremony. We attach so many importance to certain things that makes us feel that yes, we have a certain culture, and then we adhere to them, even though there are advancement. There is the inception of westernization and all that. People still value these cultures. People still value these things in Ghana, and then we attach so many significance to them. Now, if you come to Ghana and then you give birth to your baby, it is not just giving birth, you know.
Really?
Yes, yes, it's not just giving birth. The mother would have to stay indoors for 8 good days.
Before birth?
The child, yes, after birth, the child will not come out. The child doesn't come out. The mom and the child stay indoors for 8 good days. Now, the child has got no name. The child is not circumcised before the 8 days. The child is not, if she's a female, she's not pierced. The ear is not pierced before the 8 days. So on the 8th day, the child is brought out. It is called outdooring. Now, the parents, the family, and all well-wishers gather to welcome this baby.
Right.
And it is not as if he has been born just yet, but that is the time name is attached or is apportioned to that baby. So the father is asked of what name he is giving to the child. Now, bear in mind that in Ghana, you would realize that the child is either born on Monday, Tuesday, those weekdays.
Yes.
Those are the most important names we look out for, because all those days have significant attachments, connotations. I am Iya, meaning I was born on Thursday.
Oh.
Now, yes, the earth is believed to be created on Thursday, so it is equally Iya. So I'm a firm and a strong person. You would realize that my personality is like that of the earth, is stable like that of the earth.
Yes.
So all those attachments have influence on whoever the name is going to.
Right.
So you cannot just name your child. You can say yes, Faith. Those are additions, but the main important thing is the day the child was born.
So question, you were born on a Thursday. For a child who was born on a Wednesday, what would that symbolize?
The child who was born, meaning Kwabna, if it's a female, if it's a male, it's Kwabna. If the child is a female, it is called Abna. Now, Abna or Kwabna on on Wednesday is called Dapa, because it's a forbidden day to go into the bush, that is the farms, to go to the sea or to the rivers to do all those things. So it's a resting day for people. So Kwabna or Abna, that day, those people are domiciled. They are quite. They are. When you see those people, you would realize that it suits them. They are quite relaxed people. Okay. So that is it.
Let me tell you why you're making me laugh, right? I was born on a Wednesday. I was born.
Oh.
Faith. You call me docile.
Maybe that's not the right word, but you know,
that's all right.
I would say that I would say that maybe with your exposure and all that, it is making you come out because you are that personality, you are a presenter and all that. But naturally, those people are quiet and
we're calm. We're very calm. We're very solid. We're very stable people.
Yes.
So I can forgive you for that, Faith. That's all right. But I find it interesting, though. You know, for us, I think Barbados as well. We have also a part of our thing that you don't. There's a certain length of confinement for the female mother at birth. You know, and there was a thing we called the lining cold. I'm not able to speak with any authority on what that meant, but she could not expose the child to the air, the natural air, too soon, or the child in some way would have been affected by in its health. So that in some way is relatively similar. The naming
Yeah.
of the child is done by the mother, you said, generally,
Yes.
and it has significance with the day on which the child was born and the gender
Yes.
of the child. Is the child then
Yeah.
taken to a church to be christened officially?
Okay, so the surname of the child is not just given in Ghana. The surname of the child is either from a relative who is in good standing with the community, a dead relative who really led a good life, or a relative of the parent or the father who has been good to him. That is it. Now, when the child is brought out, traditionally, the child is stripped naked. You would realize that in Ghana we have a lot of tribes, right?
Yes.
And so those tribes have, after the child is brought out, every tribe has a way of transitioning or bringing out the child. Some tribes will strip the child naked, throw water on roofing sheets, and then allow the water to trickle onto the child. Now, this child is raised up in the air or in the skies, and then up and down, shown to the earth and the sky 3 times. This is an initiation ceremony. It means that we are welcoming the child, we are showing to Mother Earth and the heavens that this is Faith Ampere.
Okay.
Good. Now, there is pouring of libation and then praying to the gods. In some of the tribes, you would realize that the father or the elderly man in the clan or the tribe or the family would dip his finger into water and then drop it on the tongue of the child 3 times, as well as alcohol.
Right.
That is to symbolize that the child is supposed to speak the truth. If you taste alcohol, you should be able to say this is alcohol. If you
Right.
taste water, you should be able to say this is water.
It's safe.
So it symbolizes, yes. But with the inception of modernization and all that, people after all these would want to take the child to the church to be baptized by the pastors. Yeah.
You have me so fascinated. I think you have all of us fascinated. So this is to be continued, Faith, as we learn more about
Yes,
you and your culture. Thank you so much for joining again this morning.
Yeah.
Listen out for a call from us. We will make another arrangement to continue our fascinating drive through Ghana and learning more about your culture as well. Thank you so much.
I would always be available. Thank you so much.
I like that. You're very welcome. Very welcome.
Enjoy the rest of the day.
Likewise, Faith Ampere, who is the president of the Ghana Association of Barbados, our journey through the culture of Ghana. Let's look at our good decision of the day today, brought to you by Glucerna. Glucerna with those nutrients to support your immune system. We say celebrate your small wins. When you think of your big goals, sometimes you start feeling overwhelmed. Why? Because big goals don't get achieved right away. Instead, you need to create mini goals to help excite you along the way. This way, you can be more goal-oriented and build a habit of being more effective. Celebrating your small wins will help you stay motivated throughout your journey. Isn't that great? A great decision of the day today, brought to you by Glucerna with nutrients to support the immune system. A break, then the news.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning.
Still to come with us here on Morning Barbados, those 12 keys to successful living to really make you a winner. 12 keys to a strong finish, that and a whole lot more, plus life lessons for facing your everyday challenges. We'll also today be connecting with the author of Gracie and the Green Monkey. What's that book about? And we'll be hearing how you can get active and be confident in your hunting for a job and a whole lot more. Now let's get the very latest in the news. Here's Shane Seeley.
Yes, here's your 7 a.m. headline news. And emergency room physician Dr. Hilary Moore wants local officials to remain firm in demanding that the standard PCR test is maintained as a prerequisite for entry into Barbados. This after CBC received reports that some visitors are turning up at immigration at the Grantley Adams International Airport with results from other types of COVID-19 tests, namely the rapid antigen tests and from self-test kits. This means that those guests will then have to be tested here on island, which would extend their time in quarantine and incur additional accommodation expenses. However, Dr. Moore explained on the morning report why Barbados needs to affirm this stance that visitors present with the correct PCR test. And she went on to speak about the fact that it is possible that people who are already fully vaccinated may have to get another booster shot in the future. Meanwhile, Barbadians may soon have access to a more internationally recognized vaccination certificate. This was revealed by the co-coordinator of the National Vaccination Campaign, Dr. Elizabeth Ferdinand, on Tuesday's edition of COVID Queries.
We are in the process of having a more internationally acclaimed certificate, which we're currently working on, and Cabinet will decide the final format for it. I see recently that the EU has put out an international certificate as well. So whether we join them or we do our own international certificate will be decided by Cabinet. And when that is done, then you will get your certificate again through the email.
Meanwhile, Dr. Ferdinand says for fully vaccinated people, the blue vaccination card, once completed, will stand as their certificate. Electronic copies of that certificate are also forwarded via email. She says if you haven't received one following your second dose, you need to contact the immunization unit. Now, Barbados has reached the 4,000 mark in the number of COVID-19 positive cases. This after 2 new cases, both males, were recorded among the 429 tests conducted on Monday. There are currently 46 people in isolation, and the virus has claimed 47 lives. Under the National Vaccination Program for COVID-19, 76,413 people have been immunized. Of these, 55,586 people have been fully vaccinated during the second phase of the program. And finally, the Caribbean Examinations Council is holding a media briefing at 1 this afternoon about the administration of this year's regional exams. It will be hosted by Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, and that's the chairman of CXC, and Dr. Wayne Wesley, who's the registrar and CEO. It comes after UNICEF issued a statement on CSEC and CAPE examinations for 2021, urging the Caribbean Examinations Council to take action to ensure students are not further disadvantaged. And that's your 7 a.m. headline news. I'm Shane Seeley. Back to you, Pearson.
It is 5 minutes after 7 o'clock. Get on your phones because after this break, your chance to win with crumbs.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Going on the air with our crumbs question of the day today. That's right, we're taking your calls live with our crumbs question. The numbers to call are 228-5562 or 228-5563 to answer correctly today's crumbs question of the day. So get on the phones 228-5562 or 63. That question is, in 1969, Barbados was divided into 6 parishes. Name them. In 1969, Barbados was divided into 6 parishes. Name them. Get on the phone now, 228-5562 or 228-5563. I'll be taking your call on the air. In 1969, Barbados was divided into 6 parishes. Name them. You let me know when they're there, 228-5562 or 228-5563. Good morning to you. Hello.
Morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
So Barbados was in 1969 was divided into 6 parishes. Can you name them for me?
St. Lucie. St. Lucie.
Go ahead. I'm not going to tell you right or wrong.
St. Lucie, St. Philip, St. Michael, St. James.
You done?
Yes. 6 or
No.
6.
No, there were 6, but you got one. For sure you got some wrong, so that won't do. Thank you for trying. 228-5562 or 228-5563. In 1969, Barbados was divided into 6 parishes. Name them. Name them for me. Let's see how well you are at remembering your history, how good you are at it for real. 228-5562 or 228-5563. Morning. Hello.
Good morning.
Hi, go ahead with your answer.
Christchurch, St. Michael, St. James, St. Peter, St. Lucie, and St. Thomas.
Wait, we getting so fast, man? So slow now, start again.
Is it Christchurch, St. Michael, St. James, St. Peter, St. Lucie, St. Thomas?
You're asking a question or you're telling me an answer? What is it? I want an answer. Which is it going to be? Question or answer?
That's the answer.
That's your answer. All right, where did you find those parishes from? Where did you find it?
I had them already, so I think I write that down.
You heard this question before?
Yeah.
Oh, you wrote that down.
Yeah.
I have
Am
a
I
question
right?
for you. I have a question for you. Are you ready for my question?
Yeah.
What's your first name?
Pamela.
See, Pamela, how easy that was? Pamela, you're absolutely right. Pamela, well done. You've done your research. You've written everything down so that you can recall it when it's necessary. So the answer, Christchurch, St. Michael, St. James, St. Thomas, St. Peter, and guess where else? St. Lucie, naturally. So well done to you, Pamela. Stay on the phone, Pamela. Someone will be taking your information from you. You are indeed a winner today in correctly identifying for us those 6 parishes when in 1969 Barbados was divided into those 6 parishes. So there were Christchurch, St. Michael, St. James, St. Thomas, St. Peter, and St. Lucie. Well done, Pamela. All right. Let's move on now at 10 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock as we meet the author of this book, Gracie and the Green Monkey. Her name is Gail Hunt. Gail, good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Pearson.
How are you doing?
I am well, thank you. It's nice to see you again.
Thank you, and same thing here. And I know you have a book coming out very, very soon in which you're looking at the black-bellied sheep. Grace, what's going
That's
on?
right.
You're writing about all these animals.
I know. Well, I'm kind of like writing humane education books, and Gracie and the Green Monkey is the first one, and then Gracie and the Black-bellied Sheep is the second one in the series, and I'm hoping to get about 4 or 5 all in all.
How did the Gracie and the Green Monkey go, though?
What happened with that is I wrote the book a few years ago, and I'd already published, as you know, Ajit the Sloth Bear. So I wanted to publish Gracie in 2021. That was my goal. So I needed to find a budget. I tried to do the traditional publishing, but I couldn't find anyone to take it on board. A lot of the publishers were saying it's really lovely, but our lists are full at the moment, etc. So then I approached the National Cultural Foundation, and I understood that they were doing grants and so forth. So I asked them whether or not I could apply if I qualified. So they said yes. I sent in the material to them, which was basically the manuscript in its draft form. They fell in love with it, and they gave me a grant to publish 2 books in the series. I'm really, really happy about it. It's been a wonderful collaboration.
I know you're. What did you learn about the green monkey, and what are you learning about the black belly sheep, as that will be the focus in your next book?
I know. Well, with Gracie and the green monkey, I already knew a little bit about the monkeys because I'm involved with the charity Action for Animals Barbados, and we plant fruit trees for the monkeys, and we work with farmers to help with the conflict that's going on. We give advice on deterrence, and we also work with the University of the West Indies and other stakeholders, including the Ministry of Agriculture. So I've learned quite a bit about the monkeys in terms of their habitats, what they eat, their migration, how they move about the island, stuff like that. So we've also included facts about that in the book as well for children, so that they can learn also about them. The black belly sheep I know very little about, so I'm going to have to start to do my research. I mean, the only time I've really studied them probably was at the AgroFest. So now it's going to be my chance, because the book also, again, will have facts about them. So we need to find somebody who's actually heavily involved in farming, livestock farming, to give me some, you know what I mean, some facts that I can include in that second book.
The books are targeted to what section of our society? Is it just children?
Yeah, it's predominantly children, and it's children ages 5 to 8, but that can vary.
And I'm happy you're doing it, because raising one's sensitivity about the animals from a very young age also raises one's responsibility to care for those animals, since we know them better. Have you seen that kind of response, that change in behavior by our young people towards the green monkey?
I'm not really 100% about the green monkey, but I do know that some of the outreaches that my charity's done and other charities have done within schools and the community, it does make a difference. And we just need to keep on, you know, pushing the humane education towards the schools so that they can get it included in their curriculum as a standard thing, rather than it being ad hoc as it is at the moment, which means that, you know, anybody can contact them and say they'd like to do a talk on, you know, animal welfare. If we can have it more kind of like integrated within the school curriculum, I think it'd be really, really important on a number of levels, which I don't know if we have time to go into today, but it's just really important that children learn about caring for animals, that they're sentient beings, and also what to do, particularly for monkeys. They can become a nuisance, so there's kind of certain things to not do with monkeys to negate the kind of like risk of them becoming a nuisance within your neighborhood and your garden and destroying your crops, etc. So, for example, if a child was to pick up a rock and throw at a monkey, which is, you know, behavior that children have, that actually could make things worse. So, you know, you would teach children that when they see monkeys, to ignore them, not to feed them anything, not to encourage them. Do you know what I mean? So that relationship never becomes, you know what I mean, so close that the monkeys then begin to take liberties and become over familiar, so to speak.
But you know, our natural inclination is to run from the monkey because it springs at you. And because of all the horror stories we've heard about them, naturally there's a fear that's built in now. And you're asking us to rip that fear out and replace it with a little bit more sensitivity towards the green monkey. So give us some real life examples of the things we can actually do so that when we see them around, we don't see them as the pest, but as a part of our natural ecosystem.
Well, I think one of the most important things to do is that if they are a pest or they are a nuisance, is to contact, you know, the Barbados Wildlife Reserve. The Ministry of Agriculture has a department, you know, a section that's dealing specifically with this, or to contact Action for Animals Barbados, contact Dutchman Hall Gully. These are all stakeholders that can actually come in and speak with homeowners and, you know, find out the extent of the problem. But if it's just the fact that monkeys are passing, you know, they pass around during the day when they go from one site to another looking for food, foraging, whatever, the number one thing is to ignore them. You know, don't have any interaction with them, because when you start to interact with them, you're creating that relationship that I was talking about, and then the monkeys become over familiar and it creates problems. Those are the ones at Dutchman Hall Gully at feeding time, you know. But I
Mm-hmm.
would say to people, don't feed them. Don't look at that picture and think, oh, I'm going to feed them as well. No, they're wild animals. They can be very dangerous. They can attack your pets, etc. So the
Mm-hmm.
thing is, just to, when you see them, ignore them. If they are a problem, then there's lots of numbers that you can contact. You know what I mean?
Yes.
To get help.
It is such a surprise. You just see this monkey on the ledge staring at you, and you're wondering
Yeah,
now what to do. Hey, shoo! But it just stays there and stares. So that's
that's
what
right.
your hope.
No,
That's what you're hoping to achieve through Gracie and the Green Monkey: a greater sensitivity through the eyes of a child, little Gracie, and her interaction with the Green Monkey. So it's a great read for
yeah,
children. It's a great way to awaken their sensitivities towards the Green Monkey as well, and for tourists to be able to pick up and read, so they too themselves
yeah,
understand better how to relate with those other sentient creatures. But now you're
yeah. It helps to
preparing
support
for,
our focus.
yes, it does. And now you're preparing for the black belly sheep. And so you're
That's
hoping
right.
very soon, as you said, to be able to interact with some farmers of black belly sheep so that you can get up
Yeah,
close and personal. So what do you want people to do
yeah.
who have black belly sheep?
Well, they can reach out to me. They can find me Animal Talk Lady on Instagram or Facebook, and they can send me a personal message, you know, to share their experience. What I really would like is the historical overview of the black belly sheep, how they arrived in Barbados, and just certain facts about them. You know, how they breed, how long they live, personality types, all that kind of information. And it's just got to be kind of factual rather than kind of like, I don't want the mythical side of it. I want to keep it all very kind of scientific so that children, because these books are also educational for children in terms of like, you know, scientific
You know, when
data.
you ask how long they live, I thought immediately they live until they're slaughtered. That's just a,
Well, yeah, but
Father,
in the
forgive me.
wild, you know what I mean? In the
Yes, I
wild.
know,
But
I
I can
know.
tell you something very interesting, which I never knew, and I don't think you know this, and many people. Black belly sheep can be found in which Asian country, Pearson?
Hmm. Let's think for which Asian country? Would it be China?
You're very close. It's actually Korea.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Now,
I was
thank you for
amazed to
teaching me
see them.
that. I normally don't
Yeah,
answer questions, but so you're very
sorry,
lucky this morning.
sorry. It
Uh,
might be China as well, though.
Clearly, Gail Hunt, I want to thank you so very much. You know, the book will be coming out very soon, the one with Gracie and the Black
It's
Belly
out
Sheep.
actually. It's out. It's out
It's
now.
okay, great. So it's
Yeah,
available again locally. Would it be available
yeah.
online as well for download?
Yeah, it's going to be available on, well, it's available on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Waterstones, all of those online bookshops.
Hmm.
And then I've been in contact with Gamzee, and they're going to be looking at distribution. We're just waiting until the island opens up again more with the
Yes.
tourists. And I just wanted to quickly thank the Whales and Ape Sanctuary in UK and the
Hmm.
South African Vet Foundation because they contributed to the book as well.
You're very welcome. That's it. It'd be Gracie
Thank
and
you
that
so
falcock.
much.
I can hear it crowing in the back there. So,
Yeah, he's just coming for his breakfast. I fed them already,
yes,
but
yes.
he always comes for seconds.
Indeed. Gail Hunt, thank you so very much for joining us this
Thank
morning
you as
again, and
well.
best of luck with all of your research
Thank
into
you so much.
more into the black belly sheep. All right. We're taking a
Thank
break right
you.
here. When we come back, we're looking at kidney stones. Well, as you know, in celebration of Child Month, the Heart and Stroke Foundation of Barbados Childhood Obesity Prevention Quiz is on, bringing greater awareness to good health and nutrition for our children. You call me now on 228-5562 or 228-5563 and correctly answer our question today. When you answer correctly, you are a winner with the Barbados Heart and Stroke Foundation's Childhood Obesity Prevention Campaign. So today's question is, what nutrients do you get from direct sunlight? What nutrient do you get from direct sunlight? 228-5562 or 228-5563. This is simple. Simon made the pieman. Good morning to you. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Hi. Good morning. How are you?
I am fine. You?
I'm very well. Thank you for asking. What's your first name?
Shadriana Bowen.
I asked you for your first name. Shadriana?
Yes, please.
All right, Shadriana. Well, how old are you?
13.
All right. You know this answer. The question is, what nutrient do you get from direct sunlight?
Vitamin D.
Yes, you're absolutely right. How did you know?
I learned this in home economics last week.
Just last week?
Yes.
Luck would have it that it was asked today on Morning Barbados. What school do you go to?
The law school.
All right, that isn't bad. I mean, you could have gone to Coleridge and Parry, which is a lot better.
I know.
You're my kind of girl. I like it. I like it. All right, so congratulations to you. You're absolutely right. Vitamin D. And what's the greatest source of vitamin D, do you think?
Pardon?
What's the greatest source of vitamin D?
The sun.
You sure? Don't let me knock you off. You're absolutely right. It is indeed the sun. I just like to play with people's heads. So do you get enough sun in a day to get your adequate dose of vitamin D?
My mother makes me run outside around the house all the time.
So it's mommy's fault, right?
Not really. I like running around the house.
Don't worry, if you want to blame mommy, it's okay. She understands. My mother would have done the same thing. Go outside and play. You know, and that's your thing, to get outside and get some sunlight and get some fresh air, as they like to tell you. So thank you so much. You're absolutely right. You stay right there on the phone, all right? And we'll take some information from you, because you're a winner today with the Barbados Heart and Stroke Foundation's Childhood Obesity Prevention Campaign. Thank you so much, all right? There she goes. She's 13 years old. We can learn a lot from children, can't we? That's it for today. Another chance for you tomorrow.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
26 minutes after 7 o'clock now. You see this book here? Ain't put it down yet. Been reading. This book is 12 Keys to a Strong Finish, Life Lessons for Facing Your Everyday Challenges, written by Dr. Marlon Husbands. Marlon Husbands, good morning to you, my friend.
Good morning, Pearson. I cannot hear a thing. I don't know why I'm not hearing you.
I don't know why you're not hearing me either. Is that any better? Can you hear anything at the moment? Let's see. So tell you what, you guys, you work on that with him, and he'll come right back to me. But this book, I'll tell you about everyone, is a great read. It truly, truly is. 12 Keys to a Strong Finish by Dr. Marlon Husbands. It gives you life lessons for facing your everyday challenges. And you don't have to be strong in order to finish strong. You only must be enduring. That's what the book teaches you. And you will see yourself at the very beginning of this book, right through the end of it as well. And as you're growing as well. So it's really one that is life empowering. I think it's going to make a whole lot difference to your emotional muscles, as well as you're met with all sorts of challenges through life. And you learn those steps to finishing strong. That's what it is, isn't it? It's about finishing strong. So how you started the race, but enduring enough to the very end to finish strong as you are meant to finish, because God doesn't give you more than you can actually bear. And so in the book, you will find out a little bit more about the character on whom it is based, that biblical character on whom it was based, which is a very interesting story in itself. And I don't want to spoil it for Marlon when he gets back with us, but for sure he's encouraging us to join him on this journey through life, one of the most deliberate, strategic, and inspiring finishers in history. And so this book will definitely take you through there. And it's really quite simple. They're not very, very difficult things for you to follow. As a matter of fact, there are 12 keys, and each key will give you at the end of them an opportunity to reflect and an opportunity then for you to be able to get into action. So, Dr. Husbands, good morning to you. Let's see if you can hear me now.
Good morning, Pearson. I can certainly hear you.
Listen, I almost stole the whole book. I had to stop hard because it is such a fascinating book. Honestly, when I started to read, I thought, wait, you're telling my story. And it was so, and that's what the book really is. Yes, I'm very serious. But would you like me to tell you what I read that caused me to think that way? When I went into key 1, and you're in key 1, you're talking about seeing your burdens as a breeding ground for a strong finish. And in it, you said so many times we are conditioned culturally and otherwise to see burdens as overwhelming odds to a predestined destruction. But as a truth, they are just breeding grounds for strong finishes. And I thought,
it's true.
Wow. If I had just stopped for just a moment and reflected on some of those challenges I had, maybe I could have been meeting my strong finishes. Tell me about the book.
Oh, man. It is an interesting journey. I had started it, as you would have noticed in the introduction, I had started in 2019. A matter of fact, the manuscript was virtually finished by November 2019. But somehow I didn't get the passion.
Yes.
The commitment. I didn't feel the need and the timing to pursue the publication. And then by March 2020, I understood why, because it was then that this global pandemic struck us. And the challenges that people would then begin to face, they would really need some encouragement in the face of hopelessness and faithlessness. So the reality is that the discussion starts on the background of the 1,000,001 things that can happen in our lives and even for our lifetime. And then it creates some nuggets, some keys that the Lord has impressed upon me to share with the world to get us through this difficult season. So fundamentally, there are life lessons for facing our everyday challenges.
And when you look at, because the book is based on the whole Bible character Nehemiah, and it caused me yet again, Pearson, go and read again about Nehemiah. And I thank you for that, because in doing so, we understood who Nehemiah was and the way he faced his challenges and how he had his strong finish. So for anyone who is uninitiated, who might be wondering, all right, so who is Nehemiah? What do you say to them?
I would say he is one of the greatest 5th century leaders in ancient history. I mean, so many people have done works on Nehemiah, but somehow I didn't feel impressed to take it from a leadership perspective. So I looked at the character of Nehemiah, the challenges he was confronted with, and each of these signets are signets of impression that Nehemiah made on the world stage.
Here was a man who had a very simple beginning, became the cupbearer to the king. And, he was
Oh
really the
man.
taster, the taster.
Pearson,
You see what you did?
you're speaking like a true Bible student.
Thanks to you. Thanks a big part to you for real. But right throughout, you watch his story and you're able to quote in this book, those 12 keys, different quotations from his story to solidify everything for us and brings it into sharp focus. And how he was able then to galvanize the Israelites to be able to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. And one by
Pearson,
one...
I am so impressed with what this book has done for you.
It's made a big difference. I have not put it down. So you started off by saying, for us to see your burdens as a breeding ground for a strong finish. And as I said, in every one of the keys, you're able then at the end of it for us to be able to pray and to have a call to action, to reflect, to put into action then going forward into the next chapter, esteem favor. And in Nehemiah a lot, he talks about his favor and asking God for God's favor as well to empower him.
Oh man. And you notice that he was a cupbearer to the king. I mean,
yes.
he served in a palace. And so the thing about the favor is that he had two key persons on his side. He had God, the creator of all the universe. And two, he had the king.
Yes.
And so he took advantage of the grace that God had provided him with. And so many times, Pearson, we have grace around us. There are so many people that we can check in with, that we can call on to enable doors to open for us and solve some of the biggest problems in our lives. Because Nehemiah was certainly faced with a huge problem. Yes. He had the burden to reestablish temple worship. And so for Jews, that was critical. So now take that in perspective. Look at our own lives, the things that are critical in our lives, and see that sometimes all you need is the right person to be on your side. And my mother always told me, she is deceased now, she said, son, you don't have to born rich to make it in this world. It's just a matter of who you know.
Wow.
And Nehemiah knew God, and he knew the king. Many of us may not know kings. Many of us may not even know prime ministers or even members of parliament. But they're simple persons that God present in our path that enable us to enjoy some measure of favor.
Now that is powerful right there. There are simple people who God places in our lives to help us to reach that measure of favor. Be unrelentingly determined. And sometimes when you're walking through life, you meet your stumbling blocks and you want to give up. You feel as though, all around you there are many others who seem to want to destroy this passion, this dream of yours. But you're saying be unrelentingly determined. And Nehemiah taught us that.
Yes, but then I struck that against the analogy with the English bulldog. And the bulldog has always fascinated me. So when I looked at the bulldog, I realized that the bulldog, once his jaws are locked, there is nothing anyone can do to unlock those jaws.
So
and I said, you know what? And so was Nehemiah. He was confronted with Sanballat, Tobiah. He was confronted with all kind of distractions. But this man behaved like the bulldog. He locked his jaw into what he believed. He said, we are doing a good work and we would not come down. And so we take that lesson and translate it into terminologies that we can understand and get challenges.
Bottom line is, God does not give us more than we can bear. God is on our side.
Nope.
And, with that, we can find our key to success. We can have that strong finish that we've all been looking for, because that's a part of who we are as human beings, looking for a strong finish.
It is very true. Yeah, but, and the chapter of my excitement really is defending your gates. And I tell you, if you understand, gates was the place that commerce took place.
Yes.
It was the place where business was discussed. It is the place of open entry or closed entry. And so what Nehemiah was saying is that your gates are crucial. And what are these gates? The Lord showed me a very beautiful truth. He said that our gates, the gate is our soul. The gate is our soul. But then there are openings that come through our senses. So our senses are the gateway to the soul. Wow. So there's a way to enter. Once you enter the soul, once Satan gets into the soul, he creates all kinds of havoc. So God is saying, look at what you see, measure what you see, measure what you hear, measure what you listen to. These are avenues for which you can receive your victory. So we have to be deliberate in what we look at, who we listen to, the friends we keep, and all those kind of things play out in this chapter.
That's so interesting. When Nehemiah heard that the people had been out of exile, yes, but that the gates had been destroyed, the walls had been destroyed, he wept. And what I thought, but what are you crying for? You can rebuild those things easily, but not understanding what it meant. Truly, and you've just clarified all of that for me. Powerful indeed. And all of that we find in here.
It's an entrance point. The gate is an entrance point.
But it's more than
But it's also a place of victory.
Precisely. So it's more than that. So look at it, folks. That's the book. It's called 12 Keys to a Strong Finish, Life Lessons for Facing Your Everyday Challenges by Dr. Marlon Husbands. It is available. Dr. Marlon, where can people get a copy of this book? Because it's making a difference to me, and I want people to have that difference as well.
Well, the first place I would want them to look is right to the author. You can contact me at 232-3961, 232-3961, or you can call our office, 431-0016. We'll be very happy. The office hours are 9 until 4, and you will hear us anytime between that. And one of the reasons for this is not yet in bookstores, because it has only just about a couple weeks. And so we are still trying to see, and already, Pearson, more than 40% of the books are already sold.
Boy.
So we are asking persons to please call and call urgently, but it is definitely a life changer. And it's not only a life changer because I wrote it, but because even when I look back, I look back and I read this thing and I say, but wow. And one of the things I realized, challenges are going nowhere.
Yes. You're absolutely right. And because of that, folks, you've got to get on the phone and call Dr. Marlon on 232-3961, 232-3961, 232-3961, or you can call the office at Sanctuary Empowerment on 431-0016, 431-0016. If you need those numbers, you can call me here at the CBC and we can clarify them for you. So to Marlon straight, 232-3961, 232-3961. I've said it often now, so you should stick it in your head. Or 431-0016. This is a great read. It's a great book. It's more than just a book to you to read because you had some time to spare. But in sparing that time, you will find life lessons for facing your everyday challenges. Thank you so much, Dr. Marlon, for joining us with this. And thank you so much for presenting this. It's going to strengthen a lot of people who will find themselves between the pages, and I'm so glad for that. Thank you. I know he's saying thank you too. You're welcome. All right. Sorry about that. He didn't quite hear me at the end there. All right, a break, and then we're coming right back with more.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
For a lot of people, one of those life experiences that may very well be a life lesson would be kidney stones. What are they? What are the symptoms and what's the treatment for them as well? We're joined by our urologist, Dr. Paul Rouse, as we clarify that for a lot of you. Good morning to you, Dr. Paul.
Hi, good morning, Pearson. Thanks for having me again this morning.
You're very welcome. Kidney stones. We know the pain. We've heard the horror stories. What are kidney stones and what are the causes?
As literally as the name suggests, they are stones that form within your kidney. Again, thank you for inviting me again this morning. The reason why I wanted to talk about this, over the last week or so, I've seen quite an increased number of patients presenting with kidney stones de novo as their first time presentation. And I think it's more or less down to we're up and moving around again, and also currently the quite warm weather that we're having. So kidney stones really form from salts that are in our urine. The most common things would be things like calcium oxalate, uric acid, calcium carbonate, and other different types of minerals that in our urine. Mm-hmm. And then these salts crystallize out and basically form stones, and that's what it's all about.
You just spoke about the warm weather we're experiencing. What's the link between weather and kidney stones?
Well, as the weather gets warmer, we then start, especially if we're very active, we then sweat a lot more, and therefore we lose a lot more. We don't produce as much urine as we normally would, as we tend to sweat more. And then as a result, our urine tends to become more concentrated. And so therefore patients who are out and about and being quite physically active, especially when it's quite warm, should make sure that they have a good fluid intake to help reduce the likelihood of this happening.
But you don't know. How do you know that you're having a problem with kidney stones?
Well, the usual, actually you're quite right. Yes, some stones can be totally asymptomatic. I do see quite a few patients who have a scan of their abdomen, usually an ultrasound scan to start with, for other issues, really bowel or other issues, and found to have kidney stones. We do think it's a fairly prevalent condition. We expect about 1 in 10 persons to have problems with kidney stones. But when they do present, they present with pain, very severe.
Mm-hmm. So you would experience very severe pain, yes?
Or pain, when it comes in waves, so it comes and goes with time. It comes quite severe. Never been pregnant, but the ladies do tell us that it can even rival pregnancy pain, labor pains.
Wow. You know, the horror stories for the man is, the size of the pain and the vessel through which it has to travel to be released. How else can we relieve ourselves of a kidney stone other than simply urination?
Well, fortunately, when the stones are small, usually we say about less than 5 millimeters, there's a good chance, albeit with pain, of you passing that stone on your own. So usually the role of the doctor really is to really in that scenario would be to make sure that you're pain-free, give you some painkiller. Surprisingly, NSAIDs work very well. Antispasmodics. Sometimes you need to give even more stronger medication like the opioid type medications like tramadol or morphine. And most people would usually pass their stones once they're small within a couple of weeks. However, when the stones are much bigger, when they get above 5 millimeters, or certainly if they're more than 1 centimeter in diameter, it's very unlikely for you to pass that stone on your own. And that's where, unfortunately, where I would probably need to get involved as a urologist or any other urologist here in the island. Usually, the pain is quite severe, it's quite disturbing. So usually most patients will then present to an emergency facility or to their GP, or sometimes I do get calls directly into the office. We usually would probably start with, if it's quite obvious, we'll start with a CT scan to confirm the stone, confirm the size of the stone, confirm where the stone is, whether it's inside your kidney, whether it's in the tube coming from the kidney there, as you can see there on the cartoon, from the ureter, or whether it's actually made it all the way down into your bladder. And sometimes I've had 1 or 2 patients where they got in the urethra, in the water passage on the way out of the bladder. But just to reassure a lot of people, most of the times, as I said, they're quite small, and most people will pass them on their own, albeit with pain, as I said, and we'll get your pain under control. But sometimes, for uncontrolled pain, then we will need to intervene as doctors. Or unfortunately, the other thing that we really need to intervene for is if, unfortunately, you start to develop a wart infection, a urinary tract infection. So if you get fever, feeling unwell, feeling quite lethargic, where we're concerned about infection, Really, an obstructed, infected kidney is a urological emergency and needs to be dealt with on a more urgent basis.
What role does diet play in development of kidney stones?
Yeah, that is a very good question. As we alluded to earlier there, one of the biggest contributors to kidney stone formations are poor fluid intake in general, especially in Western, in our Western diet. Despite what we think, as both men and women, we pass only probably on average when we did look at studies of just 800 to 1200 mils of urine a day. It varies from different people, but on average, that's about how much we pass. So what we think we pass is actually quite a lot less than what we actually do pass. So our poor fluid intake in general, because we're quite busy, we're running around doing things, working, looking after the kids, doing various things, we tend not to drink because we don't want to be rushing off to the bathroom, especially if you're going out outside your home. Most people don't like using public restrooms, and understandably so. So one of the key things is our fluid intake. So most of my patients with kidney stones, I always ask them that they should measure their urine output, not every single day, but periodically, to make sure that they're passing at least about 2 liters of urine a day, measured. In other words, they should pass it into a cup, measure how much it is, tip that into the toilet, and just keep a record so you can see, hopefully getting up to at least 2 liters, 2.5 to 3 liters for those recurrent stone formers. Then, you're not going to like this, but you shouldn't add any salt to your diet. Sodium in your diet then causes you to excrete more calcium in your urine, and that then promotes stone formation. And then you're not going to say is meat. So animal protein, unfortunately, is associated with stone formation. It basically acidifies your urine, and that promotes stone crystallization, crystals in your urine forming, and then that goes on to form the conglomerate and form stones. So ideally, no animal protein. We should be eating more plant-based protein. So these are the 3 more common things. Right. I'll discuss about calcium. So I'm sure people are going to start asking about calcium and cheese and different dairy products in your diet. Yes, this is important for some stone formers. That's a minority of stone formers where they have a condition where they excrete a lot of calcium in their urine, something called hypercalciuria. But actually, it's something called oxalates in their diet, which is actually the more common type of stone, is calcium oxalate. And it's the oxalates which came down from breakdown of animal that is actually the most insoluble substance, and then that helps promote stone formation. That's a very good diagram there of these foods that are rich in oxalates. As you can see there, our favorites like chocolates and teas are there, and they're very rich in oxalates. So I tell patients, yes, you can have these, but I usually would advise them to take a couple of glasses of water afterwards to get those oxalates out of your system.
Boy, you messed me up on my potatoes and yams, man.
No, you can. I think you just have to be conscious of when you're taking foods that have a high oxalate content, that you up your fluid intake. A lot of people, once they get a stone, they rush off, they buy a 2-liter bottle of water and they're walking around with that. That's and right. After a couple of days, honestly, you get tired of walking and dragging around 2 kilograms everywhere you go. But one of the simple things I tell patients is that you can simply increase your fluid intake, that whenever you have a meal, you have an extra glass or 2 of water. And before you know it, you can easily take in an extra liter and a half of water if you implement that simple strategy. You have breakfast, where you have your tea, your coffee, have a couple of glasses of water. When you have a snack before lunch, have a glass or 2 of water. When you have lunch, have a glass or 2 of water. I'm not saying not to have the juice and the other things that we love. I love my coffee and stuff like that. But I also try to have another glass or 2 of water, and that way you flush all these things out of your system.
Yes, water is central to all of this, clearly. Dr. Paul, I've got to leave it right there. Our urologist, Dr. Paul Rouse.
Okay. Thank you very much.
For exposing to us the details, really, about kidney stones and some of the things we need to be mindful of so we can prevent being traumatized by kidney stones, but certainly knowing that there's some benefit, some treatment levels that we can implore if we have
next
to.
Next time I'll try to talk about the treatment of kidney stones and what's
That's the deal. Thank you so much, Dr. Paul. Thank you so much. Dr.
Right,
Paul Rouse.
Thank you for having me again.
You're welcome. We're going to take a break right here. When we come back, our girl Brittany Seeley will join us on Morning Barbados.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
All of us in trying to find a job want to end strongly. We want to have a strong finish, but it starts at the beginning. And so we're starting today with Brittany Seeley, who is the CEO and founder of Work Consultancy, Inc. Brittany, good morning to you again.
Good morning, Pearson. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you here as well. So let's start right into this, because there are people who are looking for a job, but they're so fearful because should I apply? Do I have the qualifications? Why should I bother? So my confidence is shaken. What advice would you want to give? Let's start there.
Yes, so self-confidence is a huge thing when job hunting. It can lead into the interview, it can lead into negotiating your pay, but really and truly it starts with the application. Do you have the confidence to apply? So we can jump straight into it, which is, are you qualified? When you look at that job description, you do not need to possess all 5 qualities that they're asking for. If you have 3 out of 5, if you have 4 out of 5, then you can go ahead and market yourself well and strive to achieve that job. Oftentimes, we encounter a number of persons who would be suitable for a position, but they feel like they can't do it because they don't have all 5 of the qualifications mentioned. However, they need to go ahead and apply for that vacancy if they want to secure the job, because really and truly, it takes them applying. You can't get the job if you don't apply. So you need to really push yourself, have that confidence, and go ahead after that job.
At what point do you say, you know what, let me stop that, because somehow nobody seems to be hearing me. I'm applying, because I thought I had 3 out of 5, and it feels as if no one is paying attention.
The reality is, Pearson, that you can't stop. The job market is so saturated and you need to keep going. And so we look to support many of our clients in this process. Do they need mental health assistance? Do they need a friend to job hunt with? Do they need a support group? Those things can help you apply for the position, but you need to still apply on your own, because really and truly, you can't get a job if you don't apply. So it all boils down to you biting the bullet and sending in the application.
So it really truly does not hurt to apply. The least we can do is apply. That's the way we know. And sometimes you might even surprise yourself, because by applying, you might be the one who gets the call to at least have an interview.
Precisely.
And then you know for sure. What about my skills though? Because oftentimes, you know, I have a skill set in one particular area and I figure, you know, that might not necessarily fit over there. How do you deal with that individual?
So next you ask yourself, are your skills transferable? So remember when I mentioned you may have 3 out of the 5 skills. With the other 2, do you have experiences that can transfer into those qualifications? So for example, you may not have been in a management position, but you may have led team members on many occasions. You can insert that into your CV, into your resume, or even into your cover letter to show persons that you demonstrate the qualities. So you don't need to be a manager to apply for a managerial role. All you need to do is have been in a position where you would have managed persons, where you would have showcased those skills, and you can show that to the employer.
Interesting. Interesting. So when you see these applications, you're asking for the manager of whatever, don't be afraid. You don't have to already have been a manager. You might have been a supervisor, and it's okay to reach up and reach for that as a goal as well. So interesting. I like that. Because the skills that you would have developed as a supervisor are also going to be relevant in the managerial position. So you already have those skills. That's good.
Yes. And there are different levels in managerial positions as well. You can easily get into like an entry level managerial role where you are at the bottom of the base. So you can do it.
I like that. You can do it. You can do it, folks, this morning for sure. Now, you asked the question, are you willing to learn? One asks themselves that question. Sometimes we're not very honest with ourselves, but it is important to at least be able to look that question squarely in the eye and be able to answer it.
Yes. I'm going to go back to the managerial example. So you have the experience as a supervisor, you have the years in the field, you would have been in customer service, probably admin. And now, are you willing to learn the extra skills to be the manager that you were called to be? So are you doing courses on the side? Are you demonstrating your capabilities by saying, you know, I'm going ahead, I'm being in these forums and I'm attending webinars, I'm learning this information constantly? Are you showing that you're willing to learn? I have no doubt that if you demonstrate this on your CV, on your application, then an employer might be more willing to go with you because it might be less training if you are teachable and you are willing to learn.
So you're saying basically, you know, when the courses are presented, take the course, do the learning, do the training, do whatever you need to do, regardless of whether or not you're applying for the job, because it will help, it will advance you when it comes to consideration when you apply. Is that what you're saying to me?
Definitely. And it caters to your personal and professional development as well. Because remember, not aiming to get into one position, you're trying to make yourself more marketable and get into the job that you truly enjoy. So really and truly, when you develop yourself, then you're able to tackle multiple organizations. You're able to go to multiple companies. Have that confidence because you have the skill set, you have the knowledge, you're constantly learning, and you're saying, I can bring these skills to your institution. I can put my best foot forward and meet the objectives that you're looking for me to meet.
And no one can take those skills away from you. No one
That's
can.
true.
So Brittany, quickly, for those who want to consult with you today, how can they reach you?
So they can reach us at www.theworkservice.com. They can reach me at 825-6384. We're on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Just look for Work Consultancy Inc. Type it in on Google and you will find us.
Simple Simon made the payment. 825-6384 for those of you who want to use the digits. Thank you, Brittany. Have yourself a great day.
Thank you, you as well.
Thank you too. And that's it, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning.